Hi everyone, I'm Andy Hayes, founder and creator of Plum Deluxe. Welcome to our virtual iced tea launch party. We've got ice, we've got cute straws. Life is not the same without cute straws. And we've got some magic here about to happen. You can share the event and the live feed in your own personal feed. So if you think your friends would like to hear about some of our iced tea tips, we're going to be talking about iced tea, sun tea, tea ice cubes, all sorts of stuff. You can share this just like you would a normal Facebook post into your personal feed. So we'd love that. All right. So who's ready for the iced teas? So before I even dive into all this, sometimes people ask what's the difference between a hot tea and an iced tea, like a tea for iced tea. And at Plum Deluxe, there is no difference. We think all teas are made equally. So what we don't do is we don't have like special pouches that you buy that you put in a pitcher and that makes the tea that way. When we say iced teas, we're just talking about teas from our lineup that we like on ice. What we're going to talk about right now is the way we like to prepare it. There's nothing different. This tea here that we're going to make iced, we can do hot, just the way that you're used to, and it's the same tea. It's not like there's one for the iced people and one for the hot people. It's exactly the same. So if you're wondering, like, did you buy the wrong one? It's totally fine. Also, I want to say everyone's tastes are different. We all have different tongues. I don't know if you realize that, but there's not like a tongue factory where they all kind of come out the same. They're all different. And so you may think that a tea that says it's great iced is disgusting cold. And that's okay. Like, no judgment. No, we don't do that here. But you may find a tea that nobody talks about iced, and it's like you can't get enough of it. And that's awesome. Like, tell other people, join our Facebook group if you're a customer or have a tea subscription. It's totally free. And tell people what you think, because maybe other people would like it too. So taste is individual. Not everybody has the same taste. And so, what one person thinks is great, someone else may think is just a hot mess. So it's all up to you. Okay, so what I wanted to do to start, because last night we put up the iced teas for the summer in the shop, so I thought they're all nicely displayed here, and so I thought we would go through them really quickly and just talk about what's new. So in order, we've got Summer Breakfast, which is a grapefruit black tea with rose and lavender. If you think grapefruit and black tea sounds weird, you were wrong. It's phenomenal. This was actually, I think, Kieran's idea years ago. I thought they were crazy. Didn't fire them, oddly enough, at the time.
Thank you.
And it worked out because this tea is amazing. So I highly recommend. If you can have grapefruit, if you like, and even I don't love grapefruit. You will not find me on the side of a street corner bowing down on a piece of grapefruit. No, not happening. No, thank you. But this tea, yes, please. And it's great iced. I like it hot too, but the ice, it's just really phenomenal. Next up is definitely a great one. It's the hammock blend. And this is kind of like orange dreamsicle or creamsicle, depending on where you grew up in the world. It's like orange and vanilla deliciousness. The aroma is worth the purchase alone, but this makes a great iced tea. Just a creamy orange vanilla deliciousness. All right, and then we have Spiced Berry Refresher. Emphasis on the refresher. This blackberry pomegranate with some spices. You don't often hear a lot of people talking about like a spicy iced tea, but this is really nice because it's got the fruit, but then you have the spices, and it just balances it out in a really kind of pleasing way. This is great hot too. If you like a hot tea in the evening, but iced as well. Definitely cold brew. Love this one, cold brew. And we're going to talk about that. Difference between hot and cold. Strawberry rhubarb. I really don't think I need to say anything else except it's strawberry rhubarb. I mean, how could you go wrong with that? Phenomenal. Nothing artificial. All delicious, 100%. And this is an oolong. So and this is all majority oolong. So if you haven't had an oolong tea before, or if you haven't had oolong iced tea, great opportunity to explore that a little more. All right. This one seems to be the winner. Megan was making it all morning, I think, because that's what everything smelled like. watermelon mint. This is actually an herbal iced tea, and I believe this was the Tea Club. This featured as a Tea Club blend a year ago, and it just doesn't go away. Love watermelon. I actually, in the summer, because I always have at home a pitcher of water in the refrigerator all year round. I like water, just kind of a cool temperature. And I like to have watermelon water in the summer. So I have the watermelon and I save the rind and put the rind in the water. So it just adds just a little something. It's not tea per se. It's just, like kind of more like flavored water, like in the hotel lobby, So this reminds me a lot of that. So that's why I really like it. And just, with a little bit of mint, it's just a little bit. It's just really refreshing. So I can see why it's a big seller. So this one here, another herbal peach popsicle. This was featured as this is a blooper from last year. This will be a theme. You'll hear about that in a second. Peach and almond. This was a mistake, and I forget what happened exactly, but we ended up with this. Oh, I think someone sent us something by mistake. That's right. So we ended up with like a box of tea that we didn't have any use for. So we whipped up a kind of blooper, and here it was. And so now it's back. This is really great. I know someone today was asking about Nana's Peach. This is a great alternative, very similar to Nana's Peach, which was a black tea we had last year. So if you're looking for a peach iced tea, this one is a nice choice. Let's see. And then speaking of bloopers, this was a blooper from earlier this year. This was Jamie, our tea maker extraordinaire, who has become famous for her bloopers. Made this, and it's a pineapple oops. It's a green tea with citrus and pineapple, obviously, hence the name. We thought about giving it a different name, but we just like the fact that sometimes mistakes work out for the best, and so we just decided we would kind of go for it. So pineapple oops smells amazing, and if you like your iced green tea, I know we have a lot of people who like green tea on ice. This is a ticket here. All right, and then now we're into new teas. So we're not necessarily ice, but still, fine either way. This is a new blend, and I'm really excited about it. It's called Wise Counsel. It's a licorice mint tea with an olive leaf base. So, dried olive leaves. The olive leaf is kind of where the name comes from. Think, Roman history and emperors and when they went to see the oracle. She's in here. She's got advice for you. So this is a really cooling tea. There was an article on our blog just this week about cooling ingredients, and this is a good one for that. Also good ice, but nice hot too. So if you we've been getting a lot of requests for licorice mint, so it's finally here. Wise Counsel. And then the last one that seems to be kind of breaking our website practically is the butterfly pea flowers. And this is, we're selling the pea flowers by themselves. If you want to add that, and we'll talk a little more about that later. You can add that to lemonade, sangria, cocktails. But we also have a tea with it in it. The flowers themselves taste kind of like green tea, kind of grassy. But this has some vanilla, strawberries, blueberries. Smells amazing. It's herbal, so this is a great kids tea. Great kids party tea too, because it's like a fun color, and you don't have to put food coloring and get it on the tablecloth and on their hands and all that stuff. And it's really it's just looking at it, it's got a lot of texture and interesting stuff, so it's a good conversation starter for adults too. So the Wise Counsel and the Magic are permanent, so they're not leaving in October. The ones I just talked about are for the summer, which is the rest of June, July, August, September. So 3 months. Okay, so we've talked about the new teas, enough about that. Let's talk about making iced tea. So you all know, I'm assuming, or you could guess, since you're all responsible adults, that you could take a hot tea, pour it over ice, and boom, you got iced tea. That is not the best way to do it. Why? Well, first of all, you're putting a lot of stress on the tea with the hot and the cold, and I find that sometimes changes the flavor. However, the worst part is you have the hot tea and then you're diluting it with the water, because the ice is going to melt right with the hot tea, and so you're going to have a hard time getting your your proportion of tea to water correct. Now that's not to say in a pinch you cannot do this, and you may find that some teas you like the hot brew and then cooling it off, no problem. And if you just want to do hot tea and put it on ice and you really don't care about the cold brew stuff, great. It does not matter. It really does. It's really no stress. So I want to emphasize we love this method and we like teaching it, but it's no stress. Tea should not be stressful. So if you want to do it the other way, it's totally fine. But the thing I like about the cold brew method, there's a couple of reasons that I really like it. First of all, if you find teas like green tea and white tea intimidating, cold brew is great because it's just cold water. It's nothing fancy, no real equipment required. So it's a little more foolproof. You just leave the tea in the water overnight and boom, it just transforms. I also find that a lot of different types of tea do much better this way. Green and white in particular. Black tea, it's a lot smoother. There's some people that could argue. I think you can make a good case for arguing like the herbals. Sometimes it's the hot water gets you somewhere different. But just overall, cold brew, it's hard to go wrong. So I wanted to just talk about it for a second and give you a quick demonstration because it really is just that straightforward. And people kind of, I think, overthink it. And I'm just trying to show you right now, like on the magic of the internet, cold brew. So you have the tea. You have the container, because you can't just pour water into your refrigerator. That might work for some households. It does not work in mine. You got the cold water. Now, I mentioned earlier in the cold brew kit, we have these longer tea filter bags. If you're on the road, going to a picnic, all kinds of things, these are great. But you don't have to have them. You can just put it in the container and then strain it out later. And so that's what I'm just going to show you right now. But these are great too if you want kind of a no mess, or if you are making tea for the household and you have people that are lazy and don't strain the tea or make a mess. These are a little more mess proof. So we're going to use the toasted nut brulee oolong tea to do our cold brew demo. Man, I love this tea. I was just recommending it to somebody on Facebook in a Facebook comment who wanted a kind of a sweeter nutty tea. I personally love the nutty teas for iced tea. My favorite by far, hot or cold, is the pecan, porch something pecan. You can just leave me in the yard with a pecan iced tea all summer and you won't really need to check on me except for the level of my beverage. So that's definitely my favorite, but this is also, fantastic for the iced. And what's interesting too is it's, I feel like it's different than it is hot. Just a little, it's just different. It's not exactly the same. And you might like that and you might not. So that's the thing, you gotta try it, right? Remember with the tongue thing, people's palates are different. So, okay, all you do, cold brew. First, you open the vessel. Pretty straightforward. And then using Just Keep Stirring spoons for Plum Deluxe, or our little heart spoons, or teaspoon, doesn't matter. So the proportion that I like to use and I recommend is about 1.5 teaspoons per 8 ounces of water. So being the genius that I did not check how many ounces this is. I think it's 12, or is this 18? You would think I would know because it's in my basement. What does it say on the bottom? Anyway, you should know your vessel. I'm going to say this is probably 18, but it depends on how full you fill it. But anyway, point being, normally hot tea, 1 teaspoon, 8 ounces of water. So I recommend to start 1.5, so a little more. But you're not going to use all your tea. I'll get to this in a second because you can reuse the tea. So 1.5 for 8 ounces. So say if this is 18, I need like 4 teaspoons or so. You'll start to, once you get the hang of it, you'll start to realize like, oh, I know I need a lot less, or this one I like a lot more, but then I can re-steep it twice. So feel free to experiment. I feel like people really want specifics, and it's not like baking a cake and the cream of tartar has to be an exact amount. it's a little more to taste. So all you do, you get the tea, right? You get, kind of the flat teaspoon. So let's say we're just gonna do 3 for this. So you put them in there, seal up your container so it's all good for the next time. So see, I've got them right here in the jar. That's totally fine. You don't have to have special apparatuses for that. And then you just put the cold water in. So this isn't boiling water, it's cold. Not hot water, just cold from the tap. So you just fill it up. Right? Living at large right here, just tea going everywhere. Put a lid on it because you don't want it to taste like your leftovers. That's weird. Pad Thai, toasted nut brulee, that's weird. So you put the lid on. You don't need to shake it. You don't need to, you can bless it if you would like. Nothing special. And then this goes in the refrigerator overnight. It really needs about 8 hours. I like to say overnight because then it's really simple. You're not really having to overthink it. It's just overnight, period. That's it. But if you're in a rush, like if you're having an evening party, you could put it in first thing in the morning and then get it, right before the party starts. So when you see, look, it's already changing color. So you can steep it in here. It just needs more time. Now, what happens, you get this jar out of the fridge and it's going to have a beautiful color, and you just strain it using like a kitchen strainer, piece of cheesecloth, anything. Now, what I do like to do, and what is nice about using the filter bags, is reusing the leaves. And so what you do is you get the tea out, you get the liquid out and get the tea back in here, and then you do more water and do another overnight. And I leave it, you gotta go overnight for that one. Get every last little bit of flavor. You might want to put like an extra teaspoon of tea in there, or maybe a little bit less water, depending on how you're feeling about the taste. You want to experiment with that to see. Some teas do better than others, but that's it. And look, it's even going further. It's really kind of magical. So that's it. There's a lot of other teas that we have that are great for cold brew, not just the nut ones and not just the ones here. Strawberry Earl Grey, which is our gratitude blend, is phenomenal for a cold brew. The coconut chai, which came out in the spring, fantastic. If you need a herbal, the apricot lavender is really nice iced. A lot of people like it even more iced. That apricot and the lavender, just really great. Splash of lemonade and you're one happy camper. The fog cutter, which is lemon Irish breakfast, so it's kind of a classic lemon black iced tea. And then dragon fruit, that's another good one, which is an herbal. It's a green ribis. Takes really well to the cold brew. So this goes in the fridge. And so by the magic of the internet, I'm a little Oprah moment here. Look at that. It comes out of the fridge. It's cold. It's dark. Like magic. So speaking of magic, this is magic right here. Because this is the butterfly pea flower magic blend that I was talking about earlier. This guy right here. So this tea is blue. So you can kind of see it with the filter bag. And just look at the inky color of this jar. It's incredible. So these little flowers, they just seem to be really taking the internet by storm. I will say, I would just, we are selling them. I would just encourage you, if you are buying them elsewhere, think responsibly. I wouldn't trust things you just find on large websites that offer free shipping, because you don't know exactly how those were sourced. These are ethically sourced, organic butterfly pea flowers from Thailand, which is where most of them come from. So you can feel safe about putting them in your kids' lemonade. I'll just say that. So this has been steeping overnight. So I saw Kieran put this in almost exactly. It was 24 hours actually. So it's had plenty of time, and so I would feel really confident. This is pretty strong tea, and then you could take take the lid off. And so this one we used the filter bags. And so I would feel totally confident in using these filter bags again on a fresh batch of water. But they would need the whole cycle again, so overnight. So I'd put them in tonight and then get them tomorrow. And I'd probably use a little less water. I would, adjust to my taste. I like my iced tea, really strong. So that's just me. So about the butterflies here, the magical butterflies. So what's interesting about this flower is that it steeps up this blue color. And if we had, totally see through, I'm going to take these out while I'm talking. If it's in in a room where you could totally see through, then you could see that it's just bright blue. It's really crazy. But what is interesting is this liquid now will react with a change in the pH in the water. And now you might be thinking, oh, just look at the drops on the on the towel. It's really vibrant color. So now you're probably thinking what he's talking about with pH. This citrus, lemon or a lime, changes the pH of water, or tea, which is mostly water, right? And so what happens is it changes color. Does anyone remember when they were a kid, your grandmother had those flowers where if you sprinkled something on the soil, the flowers would kind of change color? I forget what those flowers were called. Hydrangeas. Thank you, television audience. So the hydrangeas, how they're sometimes blue and sometimes they're purple. It's the exact same thing. Exact same thing, but it happens to be in this little flower from Thailand. We live in a magical world. Strange things happen. This is just, I'm just here on the internet reporting it. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how it works. So this is lemonade. Simply lemonade, just, nothing fancy. Already a little ice in it. Looks very delicious here under the hot studio lights. And so what you can do if you're having a party is you can take this lemonade, right? And you can, so first of all, you can drink the butterfly tea. I mean, this is the magic blend, so it's delicious. Or you can combine the two and have this really pretty drink. So that's what I'm going to show you. So all you do, I'm going to get my towel here so I don't make a complete mess. So you just take the butterfly liquids. This is the cold brew steeped liquid. It could be hot too, but you probably wouldn't put hot tea into your lemonade. And then you just pour some on top. And so now you can see this kind of bluish liquid is turning purple. And you can see it's kind of got a little gradient there. It's really neat. And so you can serve the tea just like this. This is Arnold Palmer, technically, I guess, because it's tea and lemonade. So you can serve this just like this to your guests, right? Roll out with a tray of this, and people will be whipping out those phones. You'll be Instagram hot the whole weekend, and they can drink it just like this. So the tea, has a nice flavor, and then with the lemonade, it just kind of, gives it something a little special. So I've noticed, I haven't experimented a lot with the proportions. Most of the people that I see are doing it mostly lemonade, so it's 3/4 lemonade to 1 tea. So I just did a splash here, kind of to show you. But you could experiment with the flavor and see which one that you like more. This is the best way to do it if you want that kind of magical effect, as opposed to putting the lemonade into the tea, because the tea is so dark you won't be able to see the color change, just like this one. And what's interesting too is because the viscosity of the two liquids is different. You liking how much chemistry we're going through today? They kind of stay layered differently unless you take a spoon and stir it. So you could do this in your kitchen and then serve it, out onto the balcony or patio or yard, and it stays that way. So it's pretty cool. So that's cold brew. So just to recap, 1.5 teaspoons per 8 ounces of water. So you need to know how large your vessel is. You put it in the vessel with or without Large container for the tea, right? Tea in cold water overnight is going to expand a lot. So you want to have the large bags, or if you want to put an infuser in the jar, that's fine too. But it needs to have plenty of room. So not a little tiny, thing. It needs to have plenty of room. Otherwise, you're not going to get enough flavor, and you're going to think that you did it wrong, and it was the infuser in your way. So don't do that. So you just put it in the fridge overnight, strain it out, you're ready to go. So, and if you make these over the summer, please tag us. Facebook, Instagram. We would love to see. So this is lemonade. Arnold Palmer. You could do it in sangria. You could do it for a cocktail. You could do it for a mocktail. You could do all sorts of things. I guess you could even do a margarita because the lime. So it's mainly lemon and lime. It could be also anything else that is acidic and changes the pH. I forget if it's raises or lowers the pH. I have a hot tub, so I should probably know these things, but I don't. So, but the main is lemon and lime. And also, if you didn't want to do lemonade, you could have like sparkling water, or with the tea, and just squeeze the lemon. So it doesn't have to have the lemonade part. The lemonade is just easy, right? It's no mess. You open it up, you pour it in, boom, you're done. So that's why we did it that way. But you can just do the lemon squeeze as well. I want to give you a few more cold brew tips. I know that everyone's still staring at this. It is amazing, isn't it? It's just the coolest thing. It's like kind of out of the ocean or something. An inky squid. I have some more tips for you about your summer iced teas, because it wouldn't be a virtual tea party without some more tips. So I know a lot of you are probably thinking, sun tea. What about sun tea? Well, here's the thing. The cold brew method is just, it's a controlled environment because your refrigerator is usually the same temperature every night. It's easy. It's just really straightforward. So cold brew, it just works. It's really straightforward. If you like the nostalgia of the sun tea, that's fine too. It's basically taking cold brew and putting it halfway towards like the tea kettle, putting it out in the sun. So I have, no qualms with the sun tea. Just make sure that your container's clean and that you don't leave it out there overnight. Same principles for the most part. The amount of tea, you definitely need plenty of time. And then it's the same, the teas, right? The teas that we talk about for iced tea will be great for sun tea. So that's my thoughts about sun tea. I also want to mention reusing the tea leaves. So I mentioned it earlier, but just as a reminder for the cold brewing, you can reuse your leaves again. You can't leave the jar sitting around with the wet leaves for a couple days and then jump back in there. That is nasty. You don't want to do that. You want to go right back to it. So you want the water, you're straining the leaves from the water and you're going right back with the water. That will ensure you're not getting mold or bacteria in there, because that's not, pleasing taste. Not a good look. So you'll need to experiment. I find for the most part, if I just use a little less water for the second steep, maybe a little more tea, but not always, and then the full overnight brew, you get a second steep. No problem. You may find some teas you can just go again and you're just fine. So it's a bit of an experimentation to see what you like. But I encourage you to try it because it makes your tea go further. And if you could get double the pitchers of iced tea, that's a pretty big win. So it's worth trying at least a couple times. I also wanted to mention a couple other things. We have a lot of fun stuff on our blog. If you're not on our newsletter, I'd really encourage you to sign up. It's on the website, and there's a button called Learn right in the top, and that'll show you how to sign up for the newsletter. It'll send you our blog post every Sunday, and we just have really good stuff. There's always usually kind of a how-to guide and some great recipe. And we really try to have fun with it and try to answer people's questions that we get, and also show you things that you might not think about. And two things that I really like that I think are kind of like underrated blog posts that tend to make a resurgence this time of year, but sometimes don't. One is tea ice cubes. So I love making ice cubes with the tea. I think these you could do the butterfly, the magic tea as ice cubes, and then put them in the lemonade. I think that'd be pretty cool. Um, it might kind of slow down the infusion, but it would still look really cool. Um, or you could just do other kinds of things. Like you could just do your favorite, standard like lemon or orange, black tea, and then use that in the lemonade to make like kind of an Arnold Palmer that doesn't get watered down. You could also just make tea ice cubes and then put them in the same tea. So it's just you're keeping the tea cold but not changing the flavor. So I really like doing that if you have a go-to that you just drink the whole time all summer. That's like on a really hot day when it's like 100 degrees and you just think, man, like this sucks. It's like one of those nice things that you can do for yourself. You just think, man, I am like $1,000,000 right now. So, it doesn't take any effort. Just you put the brewed tea in the tray and you put it in the freezer. That's it. Nothing fancy. The other thing is tea pops or tea popsicles. I always think of them as tea popsicles, but we used to have an employee named Carrie. Hi, Carrie, if you're watching. Carrie Rule, and she called them tea pops. And so I think of them now as tea pops, I guess. That's what her granny always called them, I think. And so it's just, frozen tea on a stick, basically. But actually, there's a lot of interesting things you can do about it with cream and sugar or fruit. And so there are some great tea pop recipes on the blog or things to think about. Even cream, even if you're dairy free, I'm dairy free. It's totally fine. You can still do it with dairy free creamers. But man, those are like so nice. They're so refreshing. Again, with the butterfly tea, that'll be a fun, especially for the kids. You have a family over, a fun conversation piece. But I find those is really fun as something to do together, but just also to have around to make a hot, afternoon just feel a lot easier. So tea pops. That's my other suggestion. And then lastly, don't forget, reuse those leaves. You want to experiment and you want to try just to see how it goes, right? If you're not feeling like it's a good flavor, then don't do it. Pretty straightforward. All right. Thank you for joining us for our iced tea virtual party. We really appreciated it. Again, if you're enjoying these, please let us know. Share them with a friend. Tell us what you want more of. Kieran goes to an extraordinary effort to make this all look nice and to get everything recorded and set up and taken down. And so we really want to know what you guys like. If it's great, even if you're listening to this and you weren't here live, that's fine too. You can email us. Tell us what you think. hello@plumdeluxe.com. We really want to know. And then again, we have all these new teas. Also on the site, in the menu, under Shop for Tea, there's a link called Iced. That will show you everything, because we have a lot of teas, as I mentioned, like Gratitude, Apricot Lavender, the Foam Cutter, Lemon Irish Breakfast, that are great iced. And you may even find other teas that you like that other people don't, like Orange Spice or Earl Grey, Lavender Earl Grey. Try things now that you know how to do cold brew, and hopefully you'll find a favorite that'll just make summer even better. All right, thanks guys. I'm Idiot Hayes, founder and creator of Plum Deluxe. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, see you. Bye.